No Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Okay, sir, you can.
Now, shall I start?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. So, today we are going to discuss the birth of second child for the same chart that we have discussed earlier. Now, the basic principles to predict the birth of child to a native, the year, month, day, time, we have already discussed last time. This time we shall proceed ahead of that and we will discuss the birth of second child to the same native, whether it is possible, and if it is possible, when it is possible, and how we have to calculate by looking into the chart of the native that whether the birth of second child can happen to the native. If at all it is possible, then at what particular time, in which particular year, month, day, and of course the time, the birth of the second child is likely to happen. Now, should I share the chart with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I am presenting the chart which we have already discussed last time. Now, is the chart visible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was the chart of late Shri Khullarji, and his date of birth, the rectified time for the chart, the place of birth, and the details for this, they are already given, and we have already discussed this in the last chart, in last time when we had a discussion on the birth of the first child. Now, if I just put in that what is the time at which the first child was born, I shall have to go to the transit. And if I just look into the time when the first child was born to this native, it was 7th September 1972, 2049, and write I will use here 20 instead of 2049 the exact time because we are concerned with the birth of the second child. So I will put it as 2050. So it is 7th September 1972. It is 2050. So this was the transit chart when the first child that was born to the native. Now, before we proceed further, first of all, what we need to do is we need to check the significations of the ascendant subsublord, whether the ascendant subsublord is promising the second child or not. Then, for the birth of second child, if you remember, in my last lecture also I pointed out that the first child, the birth of first child is the primary house is fifth. For the second child, the primary house is the seventh house. For the third child, it is the ninth house. For the fourth child, it is the 11th house, and so on and so forth. Now, what we need to check first the ascendant subsublord, that whether it is giving the significations of 2, 7, and 11, ensuring the birth of the second child or not. So if I just move to the cuspal interlinks table, and I look into what Ketu, which is the ascendant sub-sublord, is giving, it is 2, 5, along with 3, 7, 9, and 11. So the involvement of all the requisite houses, 2 is there, 3 is there, 5 is there, 7 is there, 9 is there, 11 is there. So the involvement of the primary house 7 is there, along with its supporting house 2 and 11, and supporting houses 5 and 9. It is there. And then the commitment is again by 2 and 7, which means that the ascendant sub-sublord is giving us, is telling us, is giving us an information, or we what we can draw in the form of information from the ascendant sub-sublord is that both the birth of the first child, because 2, 5, 11 is there, involvement is there, and the second child, which is 2, 7, and 11, coupled with the, at the sublord level, we are having 2 as well as 7. For the first child, 2 is necessary. For the second child, 2 and 7 both are okay. So the chart, the ascendant sub-sublord is giving the promise of the second child to the native. Now, another way to check it is that we can also check the fifth sub-sublord, and the fifth sub-sublord is Saturn, and the fifth sub-sublord has to be linked to the seventh sub-sublord, which would promise the second child to the native. And if you look at the significations of Saturn, it involves 2 and 7 and commits with 2, 7, and 11. Means it ensures the birth of the second child. Then the seventh sub-sublord should also give us the promise of the birth of the second child, and the seventh sub-sublord is Moon, 11th sub-sublord is Jupiter. If we check the significations of Moon, it is involving 2, 7, 11, committing to 2, 7, 11, again gives a strong promise for the birth of the second child. And if I look into the 11th sub-sublord, which is Jupiter, it is giving me the promise of 2, 5, 7, and 11. 2, 5, 11 for the first child, 2, 7, 5, 9, and 11 for the second child. And then it is giving, at the sub-level, it is giving me 5th and ninth, 3, 5, and 9, which means 2, 5, and 11 is supplemented by 5, and 2, 7, and 11 is supplemented by 9. That ensures the birth of the second child to this native. So this is, so the first rule that we have to follow while checking the birth of the second child is that we have to ensure, by looking at the significations of the ascendant sub-sublord, the linking of fifth cusp with the seventh cusp, the seventh cusp sub-sublord and the 11th cusp sub-sublord all should give the promise of the birth of the second child. And for second child, the primary house is 7, supporting house is 2 and 11. Along with 2 and 11, the other important supporting houses are 5 and 9. 5 and 9. Fifth house is, fifth house is 11 to the seventh house, and ninth house is the multiple of the seventh house. That is why both these houses, they are very important. And if in a chart both these houses they appear, then they add to the strength for the birth of the second child. Is this clear up to this point? So
Yes.
I repeat again, we need to check ascendant sub-sublord. We need to check fifth sub-sublord. It should be linked to the seventh cusp. We need to check the seventh sub-sublord, and we need to check the 11th sub-sublord. All these should give a promise for the birth of the second child. So when the birth of first child took place to this native, then the arrangement of the planets, the transit of the planets was Now, when we look into the transit of the planets, then the transit of Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, Sun, and Moon, that is very, very important. The transit of Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, slow moving planets, Sun, and Moon. That is very, very important. Now, before I discuss the transit and before I discuss that which is likely to be the favorable year for the birth of the child, I will have to first of all look into what? I shall have to look into the significations. I shall have to look into the significations of what? All the planets, to find out that which among these planets is suitable for the birth of the second child, which among these planets has a strong potential, or which among these planetary arrangements has a strong strength for the birth of the second child. If you remember last time, is the speed okay?
Okay, okay, sir.
है ना? Nothing wrong with the speed na? So I am
Yes,
moving slowly. Okay, is it okay na? Everybody can follow?
excellent,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
Excellent.
sir.
Okay,
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 sir. Okay.
okay, okay. Now see, I pointed out last time that whenever we have to talk about talk about the potential of the planets, then potential of every planet is based upon the sign lord, the star lord, the sublord, and the sub-sublord. So the first half of this chart up to sub-sub level will help me to find out the potential of these planets. What do I mean by saying the potential of the planets? That by looking into the significations of all these planets at the sign, star, sub, and sub-sub level, I can have an idea. Idea to what? That whether the planet has a strong potential or the planet has got a weak potential for the birth of the child. Then the planet alone cannot give the result. So the result by any planet is to be given when it is in combination with its star, with its sub, and it is sub-sublord. It means that the strength of the planet would depend upon the star in which it is placed, the sub, and the sub-sub. Based upon all three, coupled with all these three, I can measure the strength of the planet. I can measure the strength of the planet, and looking into the first half part of the chart, I can have an idea about the potential of the planet. Now, let me explain this point to you. What do I mean by saying the potential of the planet? See, what is the primary house? Seventh. What are the supporting houses? 2 and 11. What are the other supporting houses? That is 3, 5, and 9. They are all supporting to the seventh house. Now, if you look at Sun, Sun is giving me the primary house at the star level, 7. Sun is also giving me the third house at the star level. Along with this, if you look at Sun, Sun is giving me 10th house at the sub-sub level. Now you know to the 7th house, two houses are not good. Which are the two houses which are not good? The one which is 12 to the 7th house, that means 6th house. And the second which is 4th to the 7th house, that is 10th house. And the third which is 8 to the 7th house, which is second house. And since second house is participating, it's a favorable house for the event of childbirth. Therefore, we will not take into consideration the second house. So our prime focus will be on the 6th and 10th house. Here in this case, what you find is, here in this case, what you find is 3 and 7, they are favorable. Along with 3 and 7, you have 10th house, and 10th house is present all alone. Sun has got no PS. Therefore, if you look at the strength, the potential of the sun, we would say that sun is having an average potential. Average potential means a potential close to around 50-60% of potential. Now, if you gauge the strength of moon in the significations of moon at the sign, star, sub and sub level in the first half of this chart, you find that there is no negative house. In sun, there was one negative house, that is 10th house, which is fourth to the 7th house, which is not good to the extent of 70%. If you look at moon, it is also giving me the primary house along with the supporting house 3, 9 and 11, along with, since it has got PS, 2 is also there. So moon is giving all positive houses and there is no negative house present in the, while gauging the potential of moon. Thereby I would say that moon has got the strongest potential to give the birth of child. Now, when I say moon has got the strongest potential, then how does it add to the strength of the planets? It means that for all planets in which moon will appear as sublord or sub-sublord, all those planets are going to have a strong planetary strength to give the event of the birth of second child. Now, similarly, you can have a look at the Mars. Similarly, you can have a assessment of Mercury. Now, in Mars, you have 6 is there, 2 is there, 5 is there, no 7, no 9, right? So, Mars will be taken as a planet which is slightly less than the average, which means it has got a strength close to around 40-50%. If you look at Mercury, Mercury also do not have the primary house, but it has got the multiple of the primary house, that is 7. It has got 11. It has got 2. So 2 and 11 are there. And what is the plus point here in Mercury? It has got a PS. And if you look at this position, at the positional status, 2 is there, 3 is there, favorable, 9 is there, favorable, 11 is there, which is favorable. 10th house, I think by mistake they have written the 10th house. 10th house should not have been there. 10th house, in any case, if you look at Mercury, Mercury is 8, 11, 3, 9, 2, 8 and 3. So I don't know from where the 10th house has been taken.
No, 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 sir. It came to from Rahu. It appeared through Rahu. Rahu represents Mercury.
Okay. नहीं, okay, Rahu is present in 10th house. That's fine. That's fine.
Yes, sir.
पर सर राहु को PS नहीं है.
Of course, he has taken, sir.
नहीं, वो गलत है ना सर. ये पॉइंट मुकेश गुप्ता जी को, I have already raised this point that when the planet has got no PS. Now if we are to talk about say the genetical connections, then in that case with PS or without PS doesn't matter. But when we are to talk about the planetary strength, then it needs to have PS. Only then when it has a PS, we have to take the substituents of the planets, which is Mercury and Sun, at this position. So for genetical connection, connections with PS, without PS, it is okay.
Yes, it will be okay for genetical connection.
Only genetical connections. But if we are to talk about the planetary strength, then it needs to have a PS. Only then we can substitute it by its representative planets. I have already talked about this point to Mukesh Gupta, and he says that he is going to make some changes in the software and maybe
not
some
yet changed,
kind of
sir.
update.
Not yet changed.
No, he will do it, sir. He says that he's coming up with a new update.
Yes.
Very shortly. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So, anyhow, now Mercury here, Mercury here again has got no negative house. 8th house is there. Now, eighth house is second to the seventh house, so it is not a negative house. And eighth house would mean would means what? Surgery. But that is only possible if with along with eight you have 12th house. So it means that eighth house here will not make much of the difference, and hence all positive houses are present in the Mercury. So Moon is very strong because it has got 2, 7, 11. Mercury is strong because it has got 2 and 11 along with 9. Similarly, we can assess Jupiter. Jupiter has PS. It has sixth house, and the appearance of sixth house with PS has reduced the strength of Jupiter. So Jupiter, what I can say is, it will be having an average potential because 2 is there, 5 is there, 11 is there, along with 7. So it is 2, 7, 11. It is there. So I would say it will be having an average potential. The reason is because of the appearance of 6, because it is residing in the 6th cusp. And 6 is 12 to the 7th cusp. That is why the potential of Jupiter, that will be slightly less. Or I say it has an average potential. Similarly, I can talk about Venus. Venus is 7, 2, and 9. Okay, so it will be above average, maybe around 65-70% of strength. Then we take the case of Saturn. Saturn has got 6 appearing at sub level, at sub level, and then since it has got no PS, so we are not concerned about its resident position. So it means that Saturn has got 3, 5, and 9. No 7 is there. No second house is there. So the potential of the Saturn of its own is not that strong. It will be having a weak potential. See, look here. What is the important point is, when you talk about the potential of the planet, don't confuse it with the strength. A planet may have a weak strength, may have a weak potential, but through the combination with Venus, Rahu, and Mercury, it may be having a strong strength. You get this point? See, what is important? Potential of any planet can be less. It can be a weak potential of its own. But when it is in combination, it may be a strong. It may be having a strong strength. Like you take the case of Saturn. Saturn has got 4, Saturn has got 6, Saturn has got 10. 6 and 10 are both negative houses. 6 is appearing at sub level and it is appearing at sub level along with 4, along with 10. What does it mean? That the potential of Saturn is weak. Weak would mean it has got a strength of something around, say, 30, 35%, 40%. Okay. Now, if I look into the planetary strength of Saturn, then Saturn is appearing in the star of Venus, which is 279, involving 279. It is in the sub of Rahu, which is giving 2, 7, 9, and 11. And it is in the sub of Mercury, which is again giving 2, 9, and 11, which would mean that when planet is acting in a combination of 3 planets, then in spite of itself being very weak, it has got an appreciable strength, a good strength to cause the birth of the child. Now, is this point clear, please? If there is any
Saturn, can
doubt.
you repeat it again, please, sir?
Okay, look here,
About Saturn, yeah.
Okay. So what I am telling is that what we are comparing is comparing the strength, the potential. Okay. It is just like you are having one single person, and then that single person is associated with 3 other persons. Now that single person has got a very weak stature, around 40-50 kilograms of weight. He cannot fight with anybody, but he is having persons who are guarding him. They are all sportsmen. They are all the persons with good health. Thereby, now the same person which was very weak has become very strong. Not of its own, through the planets, through the planets which are in its star, which are in its sub, and which are in its sub-sub. Back here, Saturn. Saturn, if you look into the houses which are given by Saturn, it is 3, 4, 5, 9, 4, 6, 10, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Sixth house is 12th to the 7th house. 10th house is fourth to the
7th.
7th house. Fourth house is 12th to the 5th house. Okay. So the appearance of 4, 6, and 10, that would make this planet weak.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Saturn doesn't have the primary group. It doesn't have the primary house. Okay. There is no primary house present in Saturn. Had there been the primary house, which have been there, then there would have been a gain in the strength of Saturn. On the contrary, it is having a combination of three houses, which is weakening the strength of Saturn. Now Saturn here has got only one positive house, that is multiple of 7, which is ninth house, along with fifth house. So thereby it has got a strength of close to around 30-35%. Right? So the potential of Saturn is weak. But
Understood. Understood.
when Saturn is working in a combination of Venus, Rahu, and Mercury, it has gained strength, and it is likely to give the event of second childbirth. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Sir, sir,
Similarly,
sir,
see,
Kapilji,
Haji,
sir, same rule can be applied for the sun.
every planet,
No,
every
no, no,
planet.
no, sir. So what about sun? Sun is he having any potential?
Sun is having 7, na? Sun,
Yes,
sun
yes,
has
sir.
got 3 and 7 at the star level,
Yes,
and
sir.
it has one negative house, that is 10th at the sub level. 10th is 4th to the 7th house. So, appearance of 4th to the 7th house means what? It means that the strength, the potential. Now you know that the houses, there is always the houses, they always act in a combination. If there had been 6 and 10, a single house has no meaning at all. 10th would mean profession. 10th would mean name, fame. 10th would mean so many other things. But had there been 6 along with 10, 4, 6, and 10, then I would have said that the strength of the sun has been reduced. Now, here what happens? Sun is giving me the primary house along with the supporting house 3. It doesn't have PS, so the position, its resident position will not make any difference. And it has got only one negative house, which is all alone. Thereby, what happens? Now, since it is giving me a primary house, it will be having a strength greater than 60%. Look at Saturn. No 7, only 5 and 9, and then strong opposition by 4, 6, and 10. Had there not been 4, 6, and 10, right? Suppose there would have been only 3, 5, and 9. No negative house would have been there. I would have said that the strength of Saturn is good enough to give the event of childbirth. Here now, you see, single planet of its own cannot give any result. A planet has to give result only in combination with its star lord, sublord, and sub-sublord. See, this is a theory of group. A lone planet. What I'm talking here is I'm just giving you, because last time I gave you an idea about what. Hold for a minute, please. Hello. Hello. Anji, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Mm.
I am simply explaining one point. What is the meaning of term potential of a planet and what is the planetary strength? Potential of a planet means that I have to look into the first half of the chart,
Yes.
and in this half of the chart, I have to see that whether the look at moon, it is giving me 3, 7, 9, and 11 along with 2, all positive houses to enact the event. So I would say that the potential of moon is
100%.
100%. Okay, there is no negative house, all
Yes.
positive houses along with
Mm.
3 and 9, right?
Mm.
Whenever the negative house appears, it reduces the potential. If the combination of negative houses appears, it further reduces the potential.
Mm.
And if further more number of negative houses are there, then the potential of that planet is reduced. That is the meaning. So potential means that how the potential, because this measurement of the potential of the planet will help me and guide me when I am talking about the transit. Okay,
Mm. Mm.
Okay, sir.
right? Is it clear?
Right.
So that was first one point which I've even explained last time, but I did not go into the details of what do I mean by saying the potential of the planet. Now you have seen that among these, moon has got a very high potential,
Mm.
so its strength is 100%. If you look at Mercury, it has got a high potential, its strength is 90-95%.
Mm.
Okay, and similarly, I can gauge the strength of all the planets based on the scale greater than 30% up to 100% or maybe 90%. Okay, look here, it is 2, 6, 10, 8. 6, 10 is there, along with 12, and 8 and 12 is there. Okay, along with 4.
Mm.
So the strength of the Ketu would be reduced. Why? Because of 6, 10, 8, 12, 4 along with 1. Right?
Mm.
So Ketu now of its own will be a very, very weak planet. Now the potential of Ketu will be also judged on the basis of the representative planets of Ketu, which are Jupiter and Saturn. Right? So then I'll have to look into the strength of Jupiter and I'll have to look into the strength of Saturn, and then I have to sum it up that whether it is capable of having a good strength or it is going to have a weak potential or it is going to have a good potential. Right? Is its point clear, please, up to the potential?
Mm.
Okay, sir.
Okay, now let us look into the significations of all the planets. If you look into the significations of all the planets, Sun, no involvement of 2, no involvement of 7, no involvement of 11. Right?
Mm.
It is involving 5 and 9. 5 and 9. And the commitment is with 2, 5, 7, 9, and 11. Good commitment. But at the involvement level, no 2, no 7, no 11, only 5 and 9 means that Sun can only appear as a Dasha Lord. It will never appear as a Sukshma Lord, as a Prana Lord, right?
Mm.
As a Bhukti Lord, as a Antra Lord. Okay,
Yes, sir.
right? So Sun can appear, the first planet Sun can appear only as a Dasha Lord. Beyond that, it cannot appear as Bhukti Lord, as Antra Lord, as Sukshma Lord, and as Prana Lord. Right?
3 is also there, no, sir. Excuse me.
Doesn't
3,
make any
5, 9.
doesn't make any difference. We need to have one of the supporting
Requ-
house, either it
Primary
is
house.
2 or 11 or the primary house, that is 7. So it neither has got 2 nor has got 7 nor has got 11.
Yes,
So
sir.
no
Agree.
no 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 primary house is there. Okay, because of the absence of primary house, Now the only possibility of sun is it can act as a dasha lord. Beyond that, it
No.
will not. It cannot act as bhukti, as antara, as sukshma, and as prana. Okay,
ट्रांसिट में काम करता.
transit में काम करेगा.
Hmm.
It will work in transit, but it will not work here.
But sir, sun when he having a good strength of 3 and 7, why it is not giving in
Where
star lord, sir?
where it is where 7? Where it is 7? Where it is having 7?
This star lord of cups cusp का 3-7 है ना sir?
कहाँ सब स्टार लॉर्ड में है? सन इज इन द स्टार ऑफ सैटर्न विच इज 3 4 5 6
Planet
9
strength
एंड
का
10.
sir, planet strength में.
नहीं, उसमें नहीं लेंगे ना हम. कब सी sun alone when you are talking about the transit, because of the appearance of 7 it can work in transit. We are talking of dasha period lords.
That means the source of the planet is used for the transit.
Yes. Try to understand. See, look here. Sun has got the primary house appearing at the star level. Okay. Sun will not act of its own. When will sun act of its own? When any planet is transiting in its sign. Then it will come into action. Okay.
Yes.
So the transit in sign 5 would mean it will activate the 7th house. Do you get this point? Right? Now here what we are having is that potential of the planet sun is okay. But in combination, since there is no involvement of 2, 7 and 11, thereby the strength of sun to enact the event in the form of Bhukti Lord, Antara Lord, Sukshma Lord, and Prana Lord is very, very weak. It will never act as Bhukti, Antara, Sukshma, Prana.
Unqualified.
So, yes, it is not qualified. It is only qualified to act as a Dasha Lord.
That's all.
That's all. Okay. Now you take the next planet. Moon has got a very good strength, high potential, good potential. And if you look here, it is 2, 7, 9, and 11. Involvement 2, 7, 9, and 11 commitment. I've already stated. Now look here. Moon is appearing as the sublord of Moon. And at the sub level, there is no negative house. And since there is no negative house, what does it mean? That it has added to the strength of what? The involvement. So there is a strong commitment for the event of second child. And then again it is 2, 7, 9, and 11. Okay. So Moon qualifies to give the event. Then you look at the next planet, which is Mars. It is involvement 2, 5, 7. Commitment 2 and 5. Okay. And final confirmation 2 and 11. This is okay. It can also give the event. So Moon is okay, Mars is okay. Take the case of Mercury. 2, 3, 7, 9, 11. Okay. 2, 5, 7, 11. Okay. And 2, 7, 9, and 11. Okay. So Mercury is a strong planet. Mercury has got no negative house. Mercury is a strong planet. And if you will look into the birth of second child, then Mercury will be the Bhukti Lord. I'll just come to that point. Anyhow, Moon is okay, Mars is okay, Mercury has got a good strength. Then take the case of Jupiter. Involvement of 2, 5, 7, 9, and 11. Commitment by 5. No 2. No 7. No 11. See, at commitment level, either of the three houses, either 2 or 7 or 11 has to appear. Only then the event is likely to happen. Only then that planet will be strong enough to bring the event. Otherwise, I would say that Jupiter is a weak planet to cause the event. Which in other words would mean what? That Jupiter can act as a Dasha Lord. That is fine. Okay, Jupiter can act as a Dasha Lord. Jupiter can also act as Antra Lord. Antra Lord भी बन सकता है. But beyond that, Sukshma and Prana is not possible. Bhukti Lord is not possible. Right? So, Jupiter doesn't have that strength to give the childbirth. Next planet is Venus. 2, 5, 7, 9, 11, 2, 7, 11, 2, 7, 9, 11, 2, 3, 7, 9, 11. Moon is there. So I would say Venus is a strong planet to give the event. Saturn, 2, 7 involvement, 2, 7, 9, 11 commitment, and 2, 11. Saturn is okay. See, look here. Potential of Saturn is very weak, but Saturn can give the event of childbirth. Its planetary strength is strong enough to give the event of childbirth because it fulfills both the necessary as well as essential conditions. Take the case of Rahu. Involvement of 2, 5, 7, 9, 11, commitment by 2, 7, 9, and final confirmation by 2, 7, 9, 11. Again, it is okay. Then take the case of Ketu. It is 2, 5, 7, 9, 11, involvement, 2, 7, commitment, and then 2 and 5, final confirmation. Ketu planetary, the potential of Ketu is weak, but in combination with Saturn, Venus, and Mars, it can give the event of childbirth. Okay. So, amongst all the planets that we have discussed, except Sun, which is weak, second planet that is weak is Jupiter. Except Sun and Jupiter, all other planets are strong enough to give the event of second childbirth. Is it okay? So we have assessed the strength of the planets to find out that which among these list of the planets can allow the event of second childbirth to happen. Right? Is it okay, please?
Yes, sir.
Now let us move to
Yes, sir.
the transit chart. Now, is there any question up to this point? Okay, I'll take up the question.
Dear members, if you have got any doubt up to this, you can ask him. He will clarify your doubts.
So Kapilji,
हाँ जी,
हाँ.
बोलिए.
Mercury,
हाँ हाँ.
at the commitment level 6 is there.
So what?
Or means that is the negation is there, no?
No. See, negation is not to be used like this. Okay, let me again come back to the cuspal interlink table. Mercury,
Yes, sir.
it is 2, 7, and 11 is there very strongly.
Along with 6 also is there.
Look here,
12 also is there.
I'll explain this. What is the involvement? 2, 7, 9, and 11.
Sir.
Okay.
Mm.
Star proposes.
Yes, sir.
Sub disposes.
Yes.
Disposes. Okay. Now 6 will dispose of 7. But 7 has again appeared.
That is the plus point.
You get this point? See,
Yes.
6 will dispose 7, but 7 has again appeared.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, it is okay.
What about 12? Yes. Okay, that also okay. Okay, sir.
So 12 means hospitalization, 12 means expenses, 12 means अभी suppose करो medical procedure हो रहा है कोई किसी का, if anybody is having some kind of a medical procedure, then the appearance of 6 and 12, 6 means medical procedures, 12 means hospitalization, expenses, and there are so many other things.
Okay.
Right?
Right, sir.
So the appearance of 6 over here will not make any difference because it will negate 7 appearing at the involvement level, but then at the commitment level, since 7 is again reappearing, so it will overcome this hurdle. And then finally it is complemented with 7 again. So that is okay. That is okay. Right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? So no questions. Now let me discuss further. Now, for second childbirth, this was the day, month, and year. That is 7/9/1972, 20 hours, 50 minutes when the first child, birth of first child, that took place. Okay? And when the birth of first child that took place, then this was the planetary arrangement in the transit chart. Okay, is it fine? Now, at this moment of time, the native was running the dasha of Rahu, right? And Rahu dasha is up to 1981. So it will run for 9 more years. And Rahu, we have already seen, is giving me significations of involvement of 2, 5, 7, 9, 11, commitment by 2, 7, 9, and final confirmation by 2, 7, 9, and 11. Rahu in the cuspal table, we have
Yes.
already seen that it involves 2, 5, 7, 9, and 11, commits with 2, 7, and 9, and final confirmation again with 2, 7, 9, and 11.
It's okay.
It's okay, right? After Rahu, the bhukti that is running in the year 1972, that is bhukti of Mercury. And Mercury, we have already seen that Mercury involves 2, 7, 11, commits with 2, 5, 7, and 11, and final confirmation with 2, 7, 9, and 11. We have already seen in the chart, cuspal link table. Okay, so Mercury bhukti is also okay. It means at this period of time, and if you look at Mercury bhukti, the Mercury bhukti will run up to 1974. It means that this period up to 1974 is okay for the birth of the second child. Right? Is it clear? Now, the next important point. See, when the first childbirth took place, it was 9th month and year 1972. Now, the first important point here is, whenever anybody is to try for the second childbirth, it cannot be immediately after the birth of first child. Am I right? He has to give a gap of 1 month or maybe 2 months or maybe more than that.
3 months.
Right?
Minimum 3 months.
Minimum 3 months, but let us say 2 months. Okay. Now, if I give 2 months, then it will become 7,
9, 11 month.
11 month 1972. Okay. And on 7/11/1972, this is the transit. No change in the position of Jupiter, no change in the position of Saturn. Now suppose the wife of the native conceives at this period of time. I am taking just hypothetically. I'll come to this point, whether this is the actual time when she is likely to conceive, her wife is likely to conceive, or maybe at a later period of time. How could we know that? So for that purpose, we will have to look at the chart of the lady. But from the chart of the native, we can have some idea to that. Okay. See, the opponent, the partner of the native will be 7th house. And by looking into the signification of the 7th house, we can have an idea to that also. We'll come to that point later on. First of all, now, if at all, suppose I presume that the wife of the native has, conceived at this particular date. Okay. I'm just taking a hypothetical example. Now, the birth of child cannot happen before 9 months or 280 days. Am I right? Now, if I add 9 months to this, then this will become
August.
Yeah, 7/8/1972.
3.
Am I right?
73, sir.
I'm sorry, 73. 7/8,
Hmm.
1973. It means that the birth of second child to this native cannot happen before 7/8, 1973. Am I right?
Hmm.
Is it okay up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the next point that I have to now look for is to find out the answer to this is whether this is the appropriate time when the birth of the second child will happen or not. Now, I have already seen that the Rahu Dasha is okay, Mercury Bhukti is okay.
Hmm.
I will have to focus upon the Antara.
Jupiter is not okay.
Antara. And the Antara of Jupiter is running, which is the second last Antara of Mercury Bhukti. And then the last Antara of the Mercury Bhukti will be Saturn. Right?
Hmm.
Now, out of Jupiter and Saturn, if you remember, I have already discussed this point with you that Jupiter cannot effectively give the birth of second child. Look here. Jupiter is giving me involvement of 2, 5, 7, 9, 11,
Commitment में नहीं.
and commitment is only with 5
Hmm.
and 9.
Hmm.
No 2, no 7, no 11. Okay?
Weak बन गया.
बहुत weak है. It is
Yes.
very, very weak.
Yes.
Okay. So no 2, no 7, no 11. At least one of the 2, 7, and 11 should have appeared over here. And since there is no 2, no 7, no 11, it means Jupiter is very weak to give the event of
Childbirth.
second child, to give the event of the birth of second child.
Hmm.
Antara Lord has to be very, very strong. It means if now the next Antara which is to appear, that is of Saturn is 2, 7, 9, 2, 7, 9, 11, and then it is again 2, 9, and 11. So Saturn Antara is okay, which means that here what I need to do is I will have to need to change the Antara
Saturn.
and I have to make it as Saturn Antara. Saturn Antara will start from 17/11, 1973.
Hmm.
Okay, 17/11, 1973, and time is 1847. So I take it as 1850.
Okay.
Okay, I take it as 1850 and I do the calculations. This will be the transit position of the planets
Hmm.
in this transit chart. Okay. So it means the birth of child will not happen before 17th day of 11th month 1973, 1850 hours. Is it okay? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if that is the case, now at this particular time period, Saturn Antara is there and the Sukshma of Saturn is there. Can Saturn appear as a Sukshma Lord?
Yes,
Can
sir.
Saturn appear as a Sukshma Lord? The answer is no. For any planet to be repeated, what is the rule? Murthy ji have discussed it number of times with you that the same planet should be a co-ruler of the primary cusp as well as co-ruler of both the supporting cusps. Am I right?
Hmm.
So Saturn should have itself appeared as 2, 7, and 11. Is it okay? And Saturn is not fulfilling that condition. So Saturn Antara is okay, but Saturn Sukshma is
Sukshma.
not okay. Okay. Now the next point is we will have to select a suitable Sukshma out of these Sukshma laws. Is it clear up to this point?
Sir, Saturn is the suitable for the Antara. Why don't you get the Sukshma?
Now, what is the condition for getting the
Yes,
same planet repeated as a Sukshma Lord?
Must be a co-ruler. Co-ruler is there.
Co-ruler of what?
7th.
Not only 7th. It should be a
Co-ruler of
co-ruler of the 7th along with
supporting houses.
all the supporting houses. Along with all the supporting houses.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Is it clear then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? So it cannot be repeated as the
Okay.
Sukshma Lord. It cannot be repeated as the Sukshma Lord. Is it
Okay.
fine?
Yes.
Sir, if 3-4 planets are having the same strength of giving the result, then how can we predict which planet give this result? You know, in which
See, look here.
planet dasa it will give the
Look
result?
here, look here. The first point is we always check how many planets can give the event. Okay?
Sir.
Then the second point we keep in mind is that all the planets will act in the order of Vimshotri Dasha.
Okay.
That is important.
Right? And the third point is that whichever planet comes first, that will participate in the event. So 3 points you have to keep in mind.
Okay.
See, out of suppose there are 4 planets which are having enough strength to give the event.
Yes, sir.
Let me say the 4 planets. They are, one is Ketu, second is Sun, third is Moon, and fourth is Rahu. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now Ketu comes first, so I'll have to focus on Ketu. Whether it will give me the result or not.
Okay.
After Ketu, I'll have to focus on Sun. Then I have to focus on Rahu. So I have to follow in this particular systematic order.
Okay.
So for
Right.
this repeating, it has to be co-ruler of all the
Yes,
primary and
yes.
but at the event of marriage, sir, it is not the co-ruler of Mercury got repeated.
In the event of marriage.
Yes, sir.
So
And Mercury is not the co-ruler of fifth cusp.
no, over there you have also to look into the transit of Jupiter.
Okay.
Now, without looking into the transit, I have not yet come to the transit of Jupiter.
Acha, ठीक है, sir. Sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
So, no, it's okay because everything should be very clear.
Yeah.
Now, see, Mercury is repeated again for the marriage because the transit of Jupiter is favoring the event of marriage.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. So that is why it is repeated.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right. So here in the present case, we were talking about Saturn as the Antara Lord. Now, if Saturn is acting as the Antara Lord, it means the birth of second child will happen from November 1973 up to April 1974. In between this period, the birth of the second child is to happen. Right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So we have approximately calculated the time period during which the birth of second child is most likely to happen. Right? Now, let us talk about the transit of the Jupiter. Now, if you look here, the transit of the Jupiter on 17/11/1973 is taking place in the sign of Saturn. Right? And Saturn, we have already discussed, is a strong significator for the event of the marriage, and Saturn is also Antara Lord. Right? There is nothing doubtful about the transit of Jupiter in the sign of Saturn, in the Capricorn sign. So it means the transit of Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn will bring about the event of childbirth. Right? Is this point clear? Now I again switch back to the time when the birth of the first child happened. It was just to make this point clear, 7th of September 1972. Okay. And the time was
23.
7th September 1972. Time was 21. I take it as 21.
2049, sir.
But I take it as 20, 21. Will not make any difference because I'm talking about the birth of the second child. Okay. Now look here. At this moment of time, Rahu Dasha is okay, Mercury Bhukti is okay, and we have to decide about the Antra. Am I right? Now, how do I decide the Antra? On the basis of the transit of Saturn, the transit of Jupiter. Now, Jupiter here, during the birth of the first child, was transiting in its own sign, Sagittarius. Okay? It was transiting in its own sign, Sagittarius. Right? And if you look into the Lord of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter itself, so Jupiter is involving 2, 7, and 11, committing to 5 and 9, and final confirmation with 5 and 9. No 2, no 7, no 11. It means that the strength of Jupiter is very weak in its own sign. The strength of Jupiter is very weak in its own sign. Right? So, in September 1972, when the Jupiter was transiting in its own sign, then the strength of Jupiter in transit in its own sign is not strong enough to give the event of second child, to give the event of the birth of second child. So, then what I need to do? I will have to change Jupiter from the Sagittarius sign to the next sign. That is the Capricorn sign. And we have already discussed only a short while ago that the transit in Jupiter sign is not favorable, but the transit in Capricorn sign will be favorable for Jupiter because Saturn is strongly signifying, satisfying necessary as well as essential conditions for the event of the birth of second child. Is it okay? So what I will have to do here, I will have to now, Jupiter, if you look here, it is at 5 degrees 17 minutes 46 seconds, which would mean that it will approximately take how much time? It
10
will
months.
approximately take, say, 11
10,
months,
10, 11 months.
10, 11 months to change over to the next sign. Am I right? So let me do it by changing one by one. Let me do it. And see that when Jupiter transits into the next sign. Okay. So on 28th of January 1973, Jupiter will transit in Capricorn. Right? Is it okay now? It means that childbirth cannot happen in this period of time. Now, what we have discussed so far that the birth of second child cannot happen before 1st of August 1973 because the minimum period that is required for the birth of a child is 270 days plus minus 10 days.
Plus or minus 10 days.
Okay, so it means I will have to change this date to 8th of August 1973.
74.
No, 73.
Yes,
73. Okay.
Okay.
It will again remain in the same sign.
Ah.
Right? Transit, we have already checked. The transit of Jupiter in the Capricorn sign is okay. Right? So childbirth cannot happen at this moment of time. And when I do this, which antara I am getting here? Again, I am getting the antara of Jupiter. And Jupiter itself doesn't have the strength to enact the event of the second childbirth. And I will have to change it to Saturn. And for this purpose, I will have to change the date further to 17/11. It will be 17/11/1973, and the time will be 18:47. Okay, I keep it as 21 hours. Doesn't make any difference. Is it okay? Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Right. So the childbirth cannot happen before this time. Now, if Saturn Antara is there, then Sukshma on Saturn, it can only be repeated if Saturn qualifies for it. And what is the necessary condition to qualify to be repeated again is that it should be a co-ruler of the primary cusp as well as co-ruler of the supporting cusp. And Saturn itself does not qualify. Therefore, we cannot have Saturn as the Sukshma Lord. Right? And Saturn Sukshma is going to complete on which date? 11/12/1973, which means the birth of child will not happen before 11th of December 1973. Okay. Is it fine, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any questions? Any question? Any doubt?
सर मेन चार्ट थोड़ा दिखा दीजिए सर.
हाँ जी,
मेन चार्ट थोड़ा दिखा दीजिए सैटर्न के लिए.
हाँ हाँ, ये देखो, मेन चार्ट इज हियर.
हाँ हाँ.
This is main chart. Okay.
हाँ.
Now the question is to select the Sukshma. Now, what is the rule for selecting the Sukshma? Moti ji has discussed this with your class a number of times. That the Sukshma Lord, the first necessary condition to be a Sukshma Lord is that the Sukshma Lord has to be a co-ruler of the primary cusp. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
It has to be a co-ruler of the primary cusp.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the primary cusp co-rulers are Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon. Okay. Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon. Right?
Yes, sir.
It means that I will have Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon as the probable Sukshma Lords. So, it is Venus.
According to Vimshottari Dasha.
According to Vimshottari Dasha, it is Venus, then Sun, then it is Moon, and finally it is Jupiter. Okay. Now, if I look into these planets, then Venus, is a significator of the event of second childbirth. Involves 2, 5, 7, 9, 11. It is placed in the sub of Moon, which is again 2, 3, 7, 9, 11, very strong. And it is placed in the sub, which gives you 2, 7, and 9. Sun is weak. Okay. Jupiter is weak. And the fourth planet, that is again very strong. So now I have only two choices with me. Out of the four co-rulers, which would have acted as the Sukshma Lord, Sun is weak. It has a weak strength. I already pointed out it cannot be a Sukshma
Sir,
Lord.
Venus की राशि रात ना sir.
नहीं, वो तो बाद की बात है. That is separate thing. I'll come to that point also. Okay. So what? Venus is Rashi Lord. If you look at the seventh house, which is the Lord of seventh house?
Venus.
Venus. Right?
Yes, sir.
So Venus is the Lord of seventh house, and the seventh house is the one which is involved to give the event of second childbirth. So Venus itself is very strong. Okay. Now, anyhow, you forget about this point. I have Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon. The first point is to check the co-rulers of the seventh house. And the first condition is, necessary condition is that the Sukshma Lord should be a co-ruler of the primary cusp. And the co-ruler of the primary cusp, they are Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon. So out of Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon, Sun is very weak, Jupiter is very weak. I am left with only two planets. One is Venus, second is Moon. So it means either Venus can be the Sukshma Lord or Moon can be the Sukshma Lord.
You can go for my Moon.
No, why Moon? Venus comes first.
Venus is
Venus.
sign lord.
No. According to Vimshottari Dasa, we have to select Murti.
Sir, sign lord. Venus is sign lord, sir.
So what?
అఫ్ కోర్స్ ఉండొచ్చు, కానీ అక్కడ ఏమంటున్నాడు సార్, వింశోత్తరి దశ సిస్టమ్ దాటిపోకూడదు మనము. ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళిద్దరు క్వాలిఫైడే, వీనస్ అండ్ జూపిటర్, వీనస్ అండ్ మూన్ both are qualified, but according to Vimshottari Dasa we have to select first come first. అది ప్రిఫరెన్స్. పైగా వీనస్ అనేటువంటి వాడు చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్ ఉన్నాడు కదా, 2791 27911 అన్ని. ఇప్పుడు మూన్ కంటే కూడా స్ట్రాంగ్ అని చెప్పచ్చు. అట్లా మీరేమంటున్నారు మూర్తి గారు, 7 సబ్లార్డ్ ఉన్నాడు కదా మూను అంటున్నారు. ఇక్కడ వీనస్ అనేటువంటి వాడు 7th కు సైన్ లార్డ్ అని మీ పాయింట్. కానీ రెండు మనకు వీనస్ అండ్ ఇంకోటి ఏది వీనస్ అండ్ మూన్, ఈ రెండిట్లలో ముందు ప్రిఫరెన్స్ బోత్ ఆర్ క్వాలిఫైడ్, ఇద్దరు ప్రత్యర్థులు క్వాలిఫైడే వాళ్ళు. కాబట్టి వింశోత్తరి దశ ప్రకారంగా ఎవరు ఫస్ట్ వస్తే వాళ్లకు అది ఉంది, మళ్ళా అదొక రూల్. కాబట్టి వింశోత్తరి దశ ప్రకారంగా తీసుకోవాల్సి వస్తుంది. అది ఆడ.
Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
So we will select Venus. Now if Venus is selected as the Sukshma, then the Venus Sukshma will start from 9th of January 1974 up to 3rd of February 1974. It means the birth of second child is likely to happen in this period. 9/1/1974 to 3/2/1974. So you have how many days? You have 22 days of January and 3 days of February. So within these 25 days, the birth of the second child is likely to happen. Okay.
Sir.
So I will fix here now 9/1/1974. 09/01 09/01 and
74.
74. Okay. And the time is 15:02. 15:02. It is 15:02. Okay. And when I calculate, I get Venus as the Sukshma. Right? So Venus is the Sukshma. Now if after selecting the Sukshma, I need to select the Prana. Again, the theory for selection of Prana is same. It has to be a co-ruler of the primary cusp. Okay. At the same time, what is important? At the same time, we will also have to look into the transit of Sun and Moon. That is important. Without fixing the transit of Sun or Moon, we cannot fix the Prana Lord, because Prana Lord can be any of these planets. Most probably Venus, Sun, Jupiter, Moon. Okay? Venus, Sun, Jupiter, Moon. Right? So any of these can be Prana Lords. It can also be from the second house co-rulers, Jupiter, Ketu, Venus, Mercury. It can also be from the co-rulers of the 11th house, which is Mercury, Moon, Rahu, and Jupiter. So we have ample of choices with us to be selected as the Prana Lord. Okay. Now,
Okay,
how to... I pointed out that to select the prana lord, we cannot theoretically do it by looking at the co-rulers of the 7th cusp, the co-rulers of the 2nd cusp, and the co-rulers of the 11th cusp. If you sum up all these three, we will get 6-7 planets. Out of 9, you will be having 6-7 planets which can act as the prana lord. So then what I need to do is I need to focus upon the transit of sun, and I need to focus upon the transit of moon. First of all, I'll focus on the transit of sun. Now, what is important? In my last lecture, if you remember, I pointed out that the transit of sun and moon has to take place or should be in such signs. Which are the signs which are important? The signs in which the transiting Jupiter is aspecting. So the transit of sun has to be in signs where the transiting Jupiter is aspecting. They are the favorable signs. I can also put it in other words. I'll come to that point, that how by using the cuspal theory we can say that which sign is more favorable. Now here, sun is transiting in the sign of Sagittarius. And we have already pointed out that the transit of sun in Sagittarius will not be very strong. Now, which are the positions which are strong for the transit of sun? Number 1 position is Capricorn, where Jupiter is present. Number 2 position is the Taurus sign, which is 5th to the Jupiter. Next is the Cancer sign, which is 7th to Jupiter. And next is the Virgo sign, which is 9th to the Jupiter. So the important positions for transit of sun, they are 10, 2, 4, and 6.
Aries we
Okay.
won't consider, sir. Aries is in exalted
No,
position. We won't consider it for sun.
no. I said that the important positions for the transit of sun are apply the rule of PAC, position, aspect, conjunction. Okay. What do I mean by saying that? That only possible favorable conditions, favorable positions for transit of sun, they are the signs which are aspected by Jupiter or the position where Jupiter is present. Jupiter is present in 10th sign, first important position. Fifth aspect on second sign, second important position. Seventh aspect on fourth sign, third important position. And ninth aspect on sixth sign, that is fourth important position. So it is 10, 2, 4, and 6. Okay. 10, 2, 4, and 6. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So at the moment, sun is transiting in the sign of
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, and sun is at 25 degrees 15 minutes. Right?
Yes, sir.
It
Yes.
means within next few days. How many days? 5 days, because sun travels almost 1 degree per day.
1 degree per day.
Right? Within next 5 days, it will shift to the sign of Capricorn. So I change it
1 day. 1 day.
1 day each. 1 day each.
5 times. Awake.
Here it is.
Okay.
Now the transit of sun in the sign of Jupiter, that is okay. Oh, I'm sorry, in the Capricorn sign,
Sign
that
of
is okay.
Saturn, yeah.
Saturn.
Yeah, sign of Saturn along with Jupiter, posted along with Jupiter. Position is same, right? This is okay. So the position of sun for transit in the Capricorn sign, which is a significator of strong significator of the event giving houses, it is okay. Right? Now, if that is the case, which is the date I am getting? 14/1/1974. and on 14/1/1974 I shall be having the moon prana. Okay,
Yes, sir.
right? So I will not have Venus, which was one of the co-rulers of the seventh house. I will not have Sun, which was the second co-ruler of the seventh house. The third one is Moon, and the fourth one is Jupiter. Okay. Now the question is this position okay? To find out whether this position is okay or not, what I need to do is I need to now fix the transit of Moon. Now, one thing it is again away from book. It is not given in the books. What is important is that whenever you are talking about the transit of the Moon, so the first important point that you always need to keep in mind that Moon is a fast moving planet, right? Moon is a fast moving planet.
Yes.
Okay, is it fine? So in every 2.5 days it changes its sign, right?
Right, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thereby, now what is important? The important point is this is applicable to 100% charts. I will have to look into the natal Bhava chart, NBC Bhava chart. And now you can write down this point, which is very important. In the Bhava chart, we will look into the planets which are posited in the second house, seventh house, and 11th house.
Could you
Okay.
repeat it, please, sir?
Sir,
See,
slowly you dictate, sir. They will take down.
Okay. Now what is important?
Rajkondaya.
Now, what is important is when we are particularly talking about the transit of Moon, when the transit of Moon is to be taken, that the Moon, since it is a fast moving planet, it changes its sign in 2.5 days. So then, what is important while taking the transit of Moon is that the first point, we will have to note down all the planets which are posted in the second house, which is an event giving house, seventh house, which is again an event giving house, and 11th house, which is again an event giving house in the Bhava chart. I repeat again, to locate the transit, the appropriate position of Moon in the transit, we shall write down the planets which are posted in the primary house and in the supporting house of the event, that is the second house, seventh house, and 11th house in the Bhava chart. Have you written?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here, which are the planets? Moon and Mars. Okay. Moon is there, Mars is there in the second house, event giving house. No planet in the seventh house in the Bhava chart, no planet in the 11th house in the Bhava chart. So we have two planets. One is Moon and the second one is Mars. Moon is the lord of fourth sign, and Mars is the lord of eighth sign and
1 and 8.
1 and 8. Okay. So I am not using the South Indian chart. I am using the North Indian chart because I am more comfortable. I have pointed out last time also I did point out this. Somebody has raised this point. So I am not comfortable in that chart. Right? So here, only two planets, and Moon is the lord of fourth sign. Mars is the lord of 1 and 8. It means the transit of Moon, the favorable positions for the transit of Moon, they are Aries sign, Cancer sign, Scorpio sign, and Sagittarius sign, because natal moon is placed in the Sagittarius sign. This is important. That is the second important point. I repeat again. You note down the planets placed in 2, 7, and 11, and also note down the sign in which the natal moon is placed. Okay. Whenever the natal moon passes over its, whenever the transit moon passes over its natal position, it always triggers some event. And whenever any planet passes over the natal moon, it always trigger the event depending upon that planet is a lord of which house. We will discuss this point later on. Sometimes else, when we are discussing a chart. Here for the present chart. Now, what are the signs which are important for the transit of moon? Back to our topic. The signs which are important for transit of moon, that is Aries sign, Cancer sign, Scorpio sign, and Sagittarius sign. Right? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, where is moon at the moment?
Virgo.
Virgo sign. Is it okay for transit?
Sixth sign
No.
में है.
No.
No. Okay, then I change it by one day. It changes to Libra sign. Is it okay for transit?
No.
Yes, yes.
No.
No,
No.
Libra is sir. Libra Venus sign lord is Venus na sir.
Sir, second sign में ना Taurus sign में
Oh.
I have discussed here Aries sign, Scorpio sign, Cancer sign, and Sagittarius sign.
Oh, okay, okay, sir.
There is nowhere Libra.
Ah.
Okay. So the transit of moon, is it okay here?
No.
No.
No. So we will have to change it to,
One more.
now it has shifted to which sign? Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Right. Now in Scorpio sign, it happens to be okay. Am I right? As per our discussion, the transit of moon in this sign is okay. Right? Now here, if you look at the co-rulers of the seventh house, then has Mars appeared as a co-ruler of the seventh house?
No.
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 Has Mars appears as a co-ruler of the second house?
No.
No. Has Mars appeared as a co-ruler of the 11th house?
No.
No,
It
sir.
means the transit of moon in the sign of Mars is also not
Okay.
favorable. It is not okay.
Okay.
Right? If it is not okay, then the next important sign is where natal moon is present. That is which sign?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. So what I need to do is I will have to now again
Check.
forward it by
1 day.
one day each.
No, not
when
it.
it goes to which position? Sagittarius sign, and the date is 21/1974. Okay, right. Now on 21/1974, which is the prana lord?
Rahu.
Rahu.
Now has Rahu appeared as seventh co-ruler?
No.
Has it appeared as co-ruler of 2?
No.
Addition to family is which house?
Second.
Second house.
No.
So the prana lord has to be strongly connected to the second house. Okay, it means that Rahu cannot act as a prana lord. Now, which is the other planet after Rahu? Which is Jupiter. So I will have to select Jupiter as the prana lord. And the Jupiter, when I select Jupiter as the prana lord, Jupiter will appear on which date? 22nd of January 1974. So I change it from 22 22nd January 1974, and the time period is 2:52. 02. I take it as 53. Is it okay? When I do it, I get Rahu Dasha, Mercury Bhukti, Saturn Antara, Venus Sukshma, and Jupiter as the prana. Okay, so the childbirth is to happen from the date 22nd of January 1974 to 25th of January 1974. So we have, shortened up the period from the year to the months, virtually to the day, and now we have to shorten it further to the exact day and the time. And that I can do only when I fix the ascendant co-rulers. Is there any question up to this point? If somebody is having any doubt, any questions, he is welcome to ask.
So you talked about Jupiter's aspect. So we are looking only at the transit Jupiter's aspect, or natal Jupiter's aspect will also work.
That will also work. We'll when we discuss a particular chart now, when the natal Jupiter aspect is to seen, I'll discuss it someday when I discuss with you. When I discuss with you the chart.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Udhar leta diye. When I discuss the chart with you, I'll discuss that point also.
Okay, sir.
See the transit of because natal Jupiter is not to change its position, and
Yeah,
if natal Jupiter is not changing its position, then Jupiter is the karka of childbirth. Now we have to change the position of Venus with respect to Jupiter, and we have to change the position of Moon with respect to Jupiter, because Moon, Venus, and Jupiter are three planets responsible for the event of childbirth. So I'll discuss it. I'll discuss it someday when I'm discussing that kind of a chart. I'll discuss with you in details how in that case we have to utilize the transit with respect to Jupiter in the natal position. See what is important. Whenever any planet, is going to transit on its natal position, it is likely to trigger some event. Now, which will be that event? So it depends that particular planet is lord of which houses. Every planet, when it is moving over Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, and Ketu, whenever they are transiting over any planet, they will activate that planet. And if they activate that planet, we will have to see that which house it is lord. And then, after looking into that particular, say, for example, Rahu is activating Venus. If it is activating Venus, Venus is the lord of second house and the lord of 12th house. Both the houses will come, both the houses will become active. So we have to look like that. We'll discuss it later on. When I discuss a chart with you, I'll discuss this point. Presently, what
And
we are
one more
doing.
question, sir. One more question.
Okay,
For
presently,
yeah.
just a moment,
Yes.
let me complete. What we are discussing at the moment is we are discussing at the moment the position of Jupiter in the transit, position of Saturn in the transit, position of Rahu and Ketu in the transit, Sun and Moon. Right? So the transit has to be with respect to, for Sun and Moon, it has to be with the position of Jupiter in transit. That is very important. Whenever we talk about the transit of planets, then we have to focus upon the transit position of the Jupiter, and from the transit position of the Jupiter we have to check the signs which it will activate, whichever, because Jupiter is a benefic planet, it is the karka of childbirth, so whichever house it activates. Now look here, Jupiter here is present in which house? Third house. It is having fifth aspect on which house?
Seventh.
And seventh house is the primary house for childbirth, right? And the childbirth has happened. Do you get this point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look at the second point. Saturn at the moment is in which position?
Retrograde.
Retrograde. and a retrograde will always act from
Back.
one house back to it. Am I right?
Okay.
It means Saturn is also acting on this house,
Seventh house, yeah.
seventh house, and seventh house is the primary house for
Second child.
second child. Third point, when Saturn is here, Jupiter is aspecting
Event took place, yeah. Seventh house got activated, yeah.
seventh house is activated, right?
Okay.
Is it okay? So, by see, whether you apply Vedic or you apply any other, the basic principle, any other say method, the basic principles are same. In cuspal interlink also, I am explaining it on the basis of cuspal interlink theory, because in cuspal interlink theory there is no idea given to the aspects, nothing relating with the conjunctions, and even without taking into account the conjunctions, aspect, and position, we can explain it by the cuspal interlink theory. So that is why, first of all, I have tried to explain everything with respect to the cuspal interlink theory. And then I pointed out that along with that, we can again supplement it with other ideas also. Right? Now your second question. Ma'am, आप कुछ पूछ रही थी. Your second
हाँ सर,
question.
मैं पूछ रही थी कि I'll speak in English only because
नहीं,
others may
no
not
problem. हाँ,
understand
okay.
Hindi. So
Okay.
yeah, so my point was, it is just a doubt, sir. So
हाँ जी.
when we were discussing a date of the second child, we were discussing some date in the 73 or 72, I don't remember exactly, where Jupiter and Sun were conjuncting in ninth bhava. Okay, sorry, ninth
Okay.
Rashi, that is Jupiter's Rashi.
Okay.
So there you said ki we have to move the Jupiter ahead.
Why?
The
Why? Why?
yeah, I'm just trying to tell if that is the correct reason, you tell me.
हाँ.
Because Jupiter is not strongly signifying the seventh Bhav's Karaka. So that's why we shifted it to 10th, because Saturn is signifying more effectively.
Yes.
Is
What did
that
I
the
say?
reason?
What did that? Yes. Is almost the answer is same, but with slight modification. I would like to modify it slightly. See, Jupiter is involving 2, 5, 7, 9, and 11.
Yes, sir.
All houses which are good enough for the childbirth, second childbirth.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
2 is there, 5 is there, 7 is there, 9 is there, 11 is there.
Yes, sir.
But when we look into the sub of Jupiter, the sub of Jupiter is Saturn,
Hmm.
and the sub of Jupiter is also Saturn. Should I show it in the
Yes,
cuspal
yes. No,
interlink?
no, sir.
Okay.
I have the table in front of me. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if
Yes,
you
sir.
look here, Jupiter, it is in the sub of Saturn and it is in the sub of Saturn.
Yes, sir.
If you look here, there is no 2, no 7, no 11.
Okay.
The involvement houses are to be supplemented with 2, 7, or 11, 2 or 7 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
Had there been 2, we would have said it is okay.
Okay, understood.
Had there been 7, it is the best. Had there been 11, even then we would have said it is okay.
Okay.
Right? Now, the problem here is we have no 2, no 7, no 11, only 5.
Hmm.
Right? So, if it is only 5, though it is a supporting house, but it is a supporting house of which childbirth? The first child.
First.
2, 5, and 11 supplemented by 5.
Hmm.
So 2, 5, and 11 has to be supplemented with 2 or 7 or 11 for the second childbirth.
Even though it
And
has a positional status, then also we didn't consider it.
no, we didn't consider it.
Okay.
Right? Because see, the strength of Jupiter will depend upon Venus, Saturn. Right? So the potential of Jupiter will depend upon 2, 7, and 11.
Okay.
You get the point?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
So this is how we need to see. हेलो. अच्छा, ठीक है. Okay. हाँ जी, is it okay?
हाँ जी, sir. समझ में
Right?
आया. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more questions, please? Anybody with any other doubt?
Sir, in basic doubt, in this cuspal interlink table, the left right side it is showing the significance, and right side it is showing the planet strength. So,
See, right side is the significations. This is the
sir.
significations.
Sir.
That is the planetary strength,
Sir.
which is to be given on the basis of its star lord, sublord, and sub-sublord.
Sir. Sir.
And the left hand side is indicating only the houses with which sun is linked,
Okay, sir.
linking cusp.
Okay, okay.
So by linking to these cusp, it helps me to understand the potential of this planet.
But here, sir, the in significations, sometimes what are the cusps it is showing? When I noticed a few of the cusps, actually it is not showing in the cusp, in cuspal chart, sir.
Hmm. Which one?
So in few of charts, I saw few of suppose in suppose you take the tablet is showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but whereas it is not showing the actual cusp. Few
No,
of
no.
cusp.
See, here it is acting in a combination.
Sir,
Here,
sir.
if you look at Mars, Mars is showing these cusps, and Mars is not appearing only at the sub level. When it is appearing at the sub level, then Mars has a positional status which is giving 1, 2, 5, 6, and 8, and here at the sub level it is giving 1, 2, 5, 6, 8. Look at Moon. Moon is giving 2, 3, 7, 9, 11. Moon is appearing as sub, it is giving 2, 3, 7, 9, 11. Sun. Sun is not appearing as a star, as a sub, and as a sub-sub. So the significations of Sun on the left-hand side of this table will not come into play in the right-hand side of the table. In the right-hand side of this table, it will be Saturn, Ketu, and Rahu.
What is the actual difference between the left side and right side, sir, exactly?
Left side means if I am to look at these planets, I can gauge the potential of the planets. I said Moon is very strong,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
no negative planet. I
Strength of
said
the planets. Strength of the
Mercury.
planets.
Mercury is very strong,
Okay, sir.
no negative point. Now look at the beauty.
Okay, sir.
Mercury is very strong, no negative point. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Moon is very strong, no negative house.
Okay, sir.
Moon is appearing as its own sub.
Okay, sir.
So the planet Moon has got a very strong. It is very strong. It has got a good strength. Similarly, Venus is appearing in the sub of Moon. Again, a very good strength. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now look on the right hand side, the sub table. Rahu is Mercury. Mercury has a strong strength. Rahu is Mercury. Mercury. Rahu is Mercury. Again, Mercury here. Mercury here. Most of the planets, the sub-sublord is Mercury, which is having a positive strength, and they all can bring about the event effectively. That is the point.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
We just is a way to measure the strength, way to measure the potential. Potential means planet of its own.
Okay, sir.
Strength means planet in combination with its star, with its sub, and with its sub-sub. Right?
Okay, sir.
Any more questions? Hanji, is it clear up to this point? So what we have got here is that on 22nd of January 1974, before 2 hours 53 minutes, the birth of child cannot happen. Right?
Yes,
So
sir.
it can happen in any time in between 22nd to 25th from 2:52:58 to 9:31:59. That is the time period in which the birth of child is likely to happen. Okay,
Sir.
Okay, sir.
right? Is it fine?
Okay, sir.
Now, in order to calculate the actual time now, what we need to do is we have fixed the transit of Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, Moon. Now we will have to fix the ascendant, right? We will have to fix the ascendant. Okay. Now, should I give you as an exercise that how will you fix the appropriate ascendant for this particular chart? Or should I do it for you? Adi Murthy ji?
Okay, sir.
Murthy ji?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Should I give them an exercise that how to fix the ascendant? And they will have to explain that how they have fixed the ascendant. Or should I do it for them?
You have to do, sir, because they don't know. They are all newcomers.
Okay.
Please complete.
Okay. Now, in order to fix the ascendant, what are the important rules? The first important rule is that the primary cusp co-rulers of the native can be the co-rulers of the ascendant of the second child. Right? You can note down this point. Whenever you need to calculate, whenever you need to find the ascendant co-rulers, the first important point is that the primary cusp co-rulers, in the present case, they are Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon, can be the ascendant co-rulers of the child. Right? Second point, the planets which are placed in the star, in the sub, or in the sub-sub of Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon, the primary cusp co-rulers, can also be considered for the purpose of the ascendant co-rulers. So these are two important points which you need to keep in mind. So the first point is Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon. And the second point is all planets which are in the star, which are in the sub, or which are in the sub-sub of Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon can also be the ascendant co-rulers. Now, at this particular moment of time, on 22nd of January 1974, at 2 hours 53 minutes, the ascendant sign lord is Mars. We will have to first of all see that whether Mars can be the sign lord of the ascendant or not. Now, if you look at Sun, all planets in the star of Sun. What are the planets in the star of Sun? Moon is in the star of Sun. Mars is in the star of Sun. Okay. Rahu is in the star of Sun. No planet in the sub of Sun. No planet in the sub-sub of Sun. Okay. So it means that Mars is appearing in the star of Sun, and Sun is the co-ruler of the seventh house, the primary house. So Mars can be fixed as the Rashi Lord. Right? Any planet which is fixed as the co-ruler of the ascendant of the child should also be a significator of the childbirth, the event of childbirth. If you look at the significations of Mars, it is involving 2 and 7, committing with 2 and 5, and final confirmation with 2, 9, and 11. So it satisfies the conditions. Number one, planets in star of Sun, they are Moon, they are Mars, it is Rahu, and then there is no planet in the sub of Sun, no planet in the sub of Sun. So I have three planets: Moon, Mars, and Rahu. And Mars is appearing as a Rashi Lord. It means the appearance of Mars as a Rashi Lord is okay. Right? Is it okay? So the first point is okay. Second point. Second point is, can I have Saturn as the star lord? Because Scorpio sign, three signs, 4, 8, and 12. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. They have three star lords. And the three star lords are
Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury.
Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. Okay. So Saturn has appeared as a star lord, and I'll have to check if whether Saturn can appear as a star lord or not. Again, I have to follow the same procedure. Now I will look into Venus. Venus is appearing as star lord of
Saturn.
Jupiter.
Saturn.
Jupiter, and it is also appearing as star lord of
Saturn.
Saturn. It means Saturn can be fixed as the star lord. And when I look into the significations of Saturn, it is involving 279, committing with 27911, and final confirmation with 2911. So it is okay. Is it fine? Mars is okay, Saturn is okay. Now here Saturn sub and Saturn sub is there. These planets cannot be repeated. Any planet which has appeared once is rarely repeated in this column. In this particular, row, the same planet is not repeated. So Mars is okay, Saturn is okay. Now I'll have to fix sublord. In order to fix sublord, now I have utilized Venus. From Venus I got Saturn. I have utilized Sun. From Sun I got Mars. And now I am left with two other co-rulers. One is Jupiter and the second one is Moon. Okay. If you remember, I pointed out that Moon is the planet which is very, very strong. Am I right? Moon has got no negative. Look here. Moon has got no negative house. The potential of Moon is very strong. Right?
Combination is also okay.
Right. So it means what? Now, I can have two planets as the sublevel. Either it is Jupiter or it is Moon. I can have two planets at the sublevel. Now, I am having here Jupiter and Moon. These are the two planets left with me. So I can have this sublord as Moon or the sublord as Jupiter. You know that sublord has to be very strong to give the event. Is it okay? So out of Jupiter and Moon, I would preferably fix Moon over here. Jupiter is already gone. After Saturn, you have Mercury, Ketu, Venus, Sun, Moon. Moon coming first, and then it will be Jupiter in the last. Is it
Moon
okay?
also strong. Moon also strong.
Moon is also very strong. I have to follow the sequential order. So now I will change the time here, and I will change the time
10 minutes.
10 minutes each. Till I get Moon. Okay. Till I get Moon. So Moon I get at which time? I'll have to adjust this. At 3 hours 28 minutes, I get Moon as the sublord, which comes prior to Jupiter. That is why I fixed Moon as the sublord, and moon is giving me strong significations of 2, 7, 11, 2, 3, 7, 9, 11, and then again 2, 7, 9, and 11. Then what about the sub-sublord? Since here moon is in the star of Venus and Mars is also in the star of Venus, therefore I can fix the sub-sublord either Venus, that is, or I can fix the sub-sublord as Mars, because both are related to Venus. What is important here? That the sub-sublord should be linked to the moon star, and the moon star is Venus. Okay, and Venus is also linked to Mars because both moon and Mars are in the same star. It means either I can have moon over here or I can have Mars over here. Am I right? I stated that the same planet is not repeated. So I can either fix moon here or Venus here, or I can fix Mars here. Moon I have already fixed as the sublord, therefore I will not fix moon. And if moon is not the planet, I'll have to move on to the next planet. And the next planet is, now I will have to change the time by seconds.
A few seconds.
Mars.
Yes.
Okay. So Mars is okay. Because Mars is linked to Venus. Is it fine? Mars is linked to Venus. Either I can fix Mars or I can fix Venus.
Vinshottara series, Mars is there.
Mars is there. If I fix Venus, suppose if I am to fix Venus,
Time ज़्यादा होगा क्या?
हाँ जो भी हो, तो टाइम पीरियड बहुत इंक्रीज हो जाएगा.
नहीं, no use, sir.
नहीं, I am just telling. Possibilities, I am just giving the possibility. This. So the time would be 3:32. Okay. So it means that the birth of the child has to happen at 3:28:21 when I have Mars, or at 3:32. 4 minutes difference is there. Am I right? Now, one of these times will be the suitable one for the birth of the child.
नहीं, किताब में 3:28:29 दिया उन्होंने.
ओ कोई बात नहीं सर, मैं तो वैसे बात कर रहा हूँ. आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग कि इट कैन बी ईदर ऑफ द टाइम. सपोज वो टाइम ना दिया होता, 3:32 टाइम दिया होता, तो ये टाइम आ जाता. ओके,
we can fix Mars also. Mars.
my point is that either of these times can be.
Yes.
So it is 3:28:21 or it is 3:32. So that gives you the birth of the second child. Now your questions, please. Any questions?
All these co-rulers must be 2-7-11.
2-7-11. They are all 2-7-11, sir. Mars is 2-7-11. Saturn is 2-7-11. Moon is 2-7-11. Again, Mars is repeated. It is again 2-7-11.
That is important.
Now, questions. Any question? Anything which is not clear?
सर एसेंडेंट सब लॉर्ड को कैसा फिक्स करने का सर? एसेंडेंट को कैसा फिक्स करना सर?
असेंडेंट सब लॉर्ड को फिक्स करेंगे हम, तो we need to have the ascendant sub lord which is linked to the moon star Venus. अब मून स्टार वीनस के साथ कौन कौन से प्लैनेट्स लिंक्ड हैं? लुक हियर. Look at the row of Venus. It is Moon, Mars, and Rahu. Right?
Sir.
It is Moon, Mars, and Rahu. Either of these three planets. So either I can have Moon or I can have Mars, or I can have Rahu. Now,
Oh,
I pointed out that once you fix a planet as the sublord, we don't fix the same planet as the sub-sublord.
okay.
Any planet which is fixed as a Rashi Lord can be repeated as a sub-sublord.
Sir.
Any planet which is a Rashi Lord cannot be repeated as Star Lord, cannot be repeated as sublord, but the
Sir.
Rashi Lord can be repeated as sub-level.
Sir.
Okay, so any planet at sub-level cannot be repeated at sub-level. The planet
Sir.
has to be different. That is the point.
Sir.
Okay, any more questions? Any doubt and any more questions? I hope everything is clear to everybody. See, you have to work on it, because if you listen to this lecture 2-3 times and you work on the chart of your own, you will understand what we are doing in making the predictions. Now, this is the easiest way and the best way to get to the prediction if you follow the rules systematically. At no stage of time you need to miss the rule. Once you miss the rule, then you mismatch everything. Haji, any questions, please? You're welcome to ask. If anybody is having any doubt,
Sir, I couldn't attend last class, but I watched the video. So
okay.
there, while fixing the Jupiter, you said that we can't fix Jupiter in that particular case in Scorpio Rashi, because it is
Yes,
12 to
yes,
Dhanu.
yes, correct.
So that point I didn't understand, sir.
Okay, okay. Look here. What is the rules of what are the rules of cuspal interlink theory?
So,
The important rule is
yes, sir.
that 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 any house, say suppose I'm taking the case of marriage,
Huh,
right?
huh.
Seventh house is the primary house of the marriage.
Yes, sir.
So any house 12th to this house, that is sixth house, and 8th to this house, that is second house.
Hmm,
Okay, and 4th to this house, that is 10th house.
hmm.
They are not the favorable house for event to happen. So the
Okay.
second house, sixth house, and 10th house, they are denial houses. It will not allow the event of marriage to happen.
Okay. So the major
Right?
powers.
Similarly,
Yeah. Sorry.
similarly, when we are talking about the planets, then in case that planet appears 12th to its own size or 8th to its own sign, then it's not a favorable position. Say, for example, take the case of Jupiter. Jupiter in the Scorpio sign is not favorable because it is 12 to 9 sign. Okay.
Okay.
Jupiter in 11th sign,
Not favorable.
not favorable because it is 12 to its own sign.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Then Jupiter in 4th sign, not favorable because it is 8th to 9
8.
sign.
Hmm.
Jupiter in 7th sign, not favorable because it is 8 to 12 sign.
Hmm.
It means for this particular chart, appearance of Jupiter in 7, 8, 11, and 4 will
Hmm.
not allow the event to happen.
For this particular chart, because Jupiter is not
Yes,
signifying the event
yes.
strongly. That is why.
For this particular chart, because the position is fixed,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
right?
Understood,
The
sir.
position is fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you now this point is not given in the books. It is on the basis of analysis of so many charts. I've come across this point that whenever Jupiter is transiting in such positions, that positions are never favorable for the event to happen, and it never happens. It never happens. So
Okay.
the transit of Jupiter in 8, 11, 4, and 7, 4 positions are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now it will become easy for you to make out which will be the appropriate position for Jupiter in the transit that can bring about the event,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
right? Similarly, Sun appearing in 4th sign,
Hmm.
it is 12 to the 5th sign, it will not allow the event to happen.
Hmm.
Moon appearing in 3rd sign, 12 to its sign, not allow the event to happen. Moon appearing in Gemini sign, which is 12 to the Cancer sign, if Moon is appearing here, event will not happen, right?
Okay, yeah.
Similarly, for Venus, you can decide. Venus appearing in Aries sign,
Aries.
event will not happen. Venus appearing in Virgo sign, event will not happen. So two signs are not good for the transit of Venus, and then ninth sign, which is 8 to 2nd sign,
Hmm.
position is not okay. And then Aries we have already discussed.
Okay, okay.
7 side say 8 sign is Aries.
So we have to see the house lordship along with the Bhava lordship.
Yes, correct.
Okay, sir.
Correct.
Understood.
Correct.
Understood.
Any more
Thank you, sir.
questions?
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Any more questions, please? This is a very, very important point. It's not quoted, it's not given in the books, but people are using these points. They never disclose what they are doing, but this is how you have to interpret. And this rule is applicable to 100% charts. Okay, any more questions, please?
Namaste, sir.
हाँ जी, पूछिए मधु जी.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
हाँ जी बोलिए.
My doubt is many people are getting married and getting children when Jupiter is transiting those signs.
Which sign?
That one, Scorpio.
No. It's not that. It depends upon the
Aquarius.
position in the chart, na. You just post the chart where you have this case. It is very, very rare. See,
Sir.
rules are to be followed, and yet at the same time, there may be certain charts in which that rule is violated.
Sir.
Rules, see, one of the basic principles is rules are always followed when they have to be violated.
My doubt is, sir, are you telling about all the charts or to this
No, I
particular
said,
religion?
I said 100% of chart would mean that most of the charts. And by saying most of the chart, it means that maybe there is one chart in 100 charts, or maybe one chart in 1000 charts where this rule is not followed. There, the conditions may be different. So
That is what.
you have to look into other conditions as well. But in most of the charts, this rule is never violated. Say 1 in 1000 charts, the rule may be violated. 1 in 500 charts, the rule may be violated. 1 in 100 charts also, the rule may be violated. So it is 1% of charts where the rule is violated. So we cannot take into account the 1% charts to explain this. We have always to go for majority of charts. And if 90% or 95% of charts support the rule, we say this is a rule. And the rules are there meant to be violated, always. The rules बनते ही तब हैं जब violate हों. Otherwise rules नहीं बनते.
My question is, many people are getting married and getting children while Jupiter is transiting those by 4 signs.
You post the chart. You post the chart.
नहीं सर, मैं यहाँ समझ रही हूँ कि ये बोल रहे हैं कि जैसे जुपिटर एक राशि में 1 साल के लिए है, तो
हाँ.
ऐसा तो नहीं है कि वो साल में किसी का बेबी नहीं हुआ या किसी की शादी नहीं हुई। It
No,
is
no.
only when Jupiter, what I understood is, it is only when Jupiter is signifying the negative house.
Yes.
Then only it is applicable. It is
Then
not a
only it is.
blanket. It is not a
Yes.
blanket
It is not a
statement.
blanket rule. It's not a
Yeah.
blanket rule. That's what I am pointing out. It's not a blanket rule.
Along with the
I didn't get.
aspects
I
also to
didn't
be
get.
considered. Aspects also to be considered.
No,
No,
not
no.
in cuspal interlink theory. Not in cuspal interlink.
See, sir is saying, if suppose Jupiter is the lord of sixth bhava, and then Jupiter is transiting in, and sixth bhava happens to be Dhanu Rashi, and Jupiter is transiting in Scorpio, then it is not possible. Because already negative, it's not signifying the event strongly, and it is
No,
transiting in the
not sir.
12th to that
No,
bhava.
no. Sir is talking about the mundane position only, not about a particular
No,
chart.
no, that's what he cleared. That's what he cleared a little while ago. When I asked the questioner, that's what he cleared.
He's sir talking about sun also and moon also.
Sun,
Yes,
moon
Sun.
same,
can
same rule, same rule.
see sun. Which are the favorable positions for the transit of sun?